Hello, my lovely beta testers. Thank you so much for agreeing to beta test Filament, which is it's been a project that I've been working on for I don't know, nearly 4 years alongside other projects. Um, what it is, in a nutshell, is a real-time MIDI orchestration engine. It sits as an instrument in your DAW and it routes your input notes in loads of different creative ways to output rows where you can load whatever plugin you like. And you're loading VST and AU plugins into these, and you can load whatever you like. So you can, up top, it has 16 outputs, but if you go into the settings, you can actually load up to 64 instruments in this single track. So the idea is you can actually load a whole orchestra into one track in your DAW and configure it in lots of really nice, interesting ways. While we're on the settings page, input delay, if you're a sloppy player, put this up. It'll group together your notes and mean that the engine kind of behaves more smoothly. Or if you're really accurate, then you can drop this down. I normally have it about there. Okay, let's get started. At the bottom here, you'll see input keyboard. You can define the range of that. And then above this, you'll see this little orb. It will be, by default, be open. Okay, this is a chord reinterpretation engine, and it won't do anything at the moment, but when I hook up an output, you'll see it start to do stuff. And what this does, by default, is it will map the lowest note of your chord and the highest note of your chord and spread your harmonies across those in a hopefully musical way, which I will show you in a minute. Above that, you have this matrix, and this allows you to route different aspects of that chord to different instruments. Okay. Now, before I show you how that works, I'm going to just load up some instruments. So I'm not going to load up here. You can. When you first start out, you'll probably want to be loading things. You just go browse for plugin and locate your components or your VSTs and load like that. But then once you've loaded them once, they'll appear here and you can search for stuff and things. Okay, but I've got some presets loaded, saved, which we'll talk about. The preset system is out the back. I'm going to select string quintet. What that does is it defines how many output rows there are, and it defines the track names. This is to organize which libraries and orchestrations are available. I'm going to select Appassionato strings. Okay, so this is Spitfire's Appassionato strings, and it loads 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these across there. So I'm going to turn the chord revoicer off for the moment, and I'm just going to route 1 to my double bass, 2 to my cello, etc., etc. And you'll see that the lowest note I play yeah, okay. Yeah, so it was just the Appassionato strings loading up there in the background. And you can click on them and their windows will appear like that. Okay, so what that's done is it's routed the notes of my chord to the 5 different instruments. Now, if I turn on the intelligent chord revoicer, something really cool happens. We're going to turn the voices down to 5. Now you'll see I play a low C down here and a triad up here, but the engine is balancing the chord across the full range. And it's quick and it's flexible, and it will create counterpoint within the chord system. So I have a breath controller that I use to control CC, but you can just play with one-handed and it works great. Okay, but if you change this from dynamic to fixed, it will fix the range of your instruments to a particular area, no matter where you play on the keyboard. This is really useful for layering up different systems where you maybe have a limited range instrument like woodwinds and you want to group them together in a particular part. To stop it getting boring, you can push the drift up a little bit. And what this means is that the chord voicing will change slightly within your range, but it won't move outside of the outer bounds. So it's really cool. So that's the basic voicing structure. But then you can see we've actually got these 4 little buttons on the output rows. C is a MIDI clip launcher. You can drop clips into here, edit them, and you will be able to trigger them. Or if you turn it into Arpeggiator mode, they will trigger the clips using the harmony fed into the clip launcher, which is kind of cool and kind of powerful. So you've got that, and then you've also got this arpeggiator system. This is a fairly standard arpeggiator. It will default to showing you these numbers. These are the numbers of the chord you're playing, like the position within the chord. So you can use this to create arpeggiated patterns. You can stretch it in length, obviously, but you can also stretch individual rows to create polyphony. You can change chants, repeat, transpose, and the velocities. But really, really important to look at is this little filter button here, because this will reveal different modes of the arpeggiator. So if you prefer to work with patterns, so like going up and down, you can just place your notes on here. And there's different types of arpeggiator system for you to explore. So this is really powerful when you combine it with the fixed mode on the chord input, because you can do things like this. So I've got a violin, legato violin line, and let's say I want it to arpeggiate in a particular region of the keyboard. If I set the input 1 to go to a violin, and then I press this little button down here, that routes the entire chord to the voice 1. I'm going to push up the voices, and then I'm going to set it in fixed mode, and this is what happens. I'll turn off the clip launcher. By the way, you click to turn on, command click to turn off. And because it's fixed to a particular region, you can then go to a different voice down here, have some harmony underneath. So what's happening there is the voice 1 is feeding the arpeggiator and voice 2 is feeding the harmony. Now, if I feel like that violin's getting a bit lost, I can go to this M and I can edit the CC curves for that particular output. Pretty cool, right? This T here, this triggers articulations, but in order to get this working, you have to go to the back, to the mixer, which we also have, and click articulations and assign them there. Those are the core functions of this plugin, but what makes it kind of cool is you don't have just one of these orchestrations, you have 12 by changing the key switches. And you can drag from one to the other, like this. Does that work? Yeah, okay. So I've dragged from my first one to my second one, but actually I'm going to change the second one. I'm just going to make it much more straightforwardly. Let's have melody top, turn these off. Okay. And then in one. Oh, I think I turned it down in the mixer. No. Okay, well, I will hopefully figure out what happened there and fix it before it gets to you. And you can change on the fly. So. Oh, I'm actually, before we do this, I'm going to put pedal on so that our chords hold nicely. Okay, yeah, there we go. Put pedal on the other voice as well. Pedal works on a per voice basis. So if your pedal isn't doing anything, you want to switch it on there. So can you hear I switched between the Keyswitch 1 and 2? And to switch, the way it works is you press the new key switch and it won't change until you play a new chord, which means you don't have to be kind of concentrating really hard on the key switching. You just press when you're about to change. So I press and the chord holds until I play a new chord. And then it transitions everything nicely. Okay, so that is the plugin in a nutshell. There is loads of stuff in addition to this. I've got a tutorial series online, which I'll also send you a link to if you want a more in-depth walkthrough of specific things. But also just have a play. Lots of stuff you can drag and drop. You command click often does things. So like in the Arpeggiator, if you alt click, that will give you a marquee. Lots of that sort of stuff. You can do articulations per notes. And if you have any questions at all about the plugin, yeah, just send me a message and I will hopefully explain things. What I would love is for you guys to keep track of any strange behavior in the plugin. So whenever anything goes wrong, if you can, write down exactly what went wrong and what the setup was that led it to go wrong. And that'll give me a bit of an idea on my end, and I can try and recreate the problem. I'm also going to send you guys a form, which I'd love for you to fill out if you find any bugs or problems. And that's just to get an idea what operating system and what DAW you're using, because it does change things on my end, depending on what those are. And yeah, just love to have your feedback. Anything that feels confusing or difficult to work with, send it across. And thank you again so much for beta testing the plugin. It's really great from my perspective. Cheers. See you guys later.